And some of y'all aren't gonna like it, but I'm just gonna say it. Sister.
We never really had like a big fight.
Why aren't people dating more often? It should be a trendy activity. I think this is basically preaching a false gospel. What's up, YouTube? My name is Jeanine Amapola. This is your first time coming to my channel. I like to do faith, fashion, and lifestyle videos and vlogs, and I post every single Monday, so I hope you guys will stick around. Today I'm going to be doing a Q&A, so I took these questions from my Instagram, answered a ton there, and then the ones I didn't get to answer, I thought I would sit down today and just answer them. So, sitting in my living room, I don't film in here too often, and I thought I would just get cozy. I'm wearing this big sweater from Mad Happy. I have my coffee, which honestly I don't need, but here we are, cheers. And this video might be kind of long because I'm going to be answering a ton of y'all's questions. A lot of these are faith related. You guys want to know my opinions on Hookup Culture, the show Euphoria. I mean, so many things. We'll get into it. I'm gonna try to answer these, as best as I can. So get yourself a coffee, sit down with me. I do apologize if I'm sniffly. I'm super stuffy right now, so my apologies. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you want to be included in the next one, make sure you follow my Instagram, Jeanine Amapola, and check out my Happy and Healthy podcast because I do a lot of Q&As over there as well. Post that every single Tuesday, so links are down below. Let's just get right into it. All right, so I moved my camera so you guys could be more up close and personal with me. I got my phone. There's a ton in here, so I'm gonna try to go through as many as I can. The first random question is just about my hair. So what is my daily hair shampoo and conditioner? It is from Bondi Boost. I think it's just their hydrating one. I can't remember, but I know it's from Bondi Boost, so I'll insert a picture. The next question is, how are you lately? So I guess we're kind of diving right into it. So I'm gonna be vulnerable because I feel like as a creator, it almost sometimes feels like it's scary to open up about how you're doing because I think a lot of people look at influencers and they're like, oh my gosh, their life is so perfect and why do they have any reason to complain or feel sad? And that's like never, what I'm trying to do is portray this perfect life because if anything, I'm trying to share the vulnerability side to let you guys know that this life is not perfect. As much as I feel blessed and I love it, there's been a lot of hard things lately. I'm very overwhelmed, very stressed out. Had a pastor call me today randomly and was like, are you tired? Are you spiritually tired? And I was like, yes. The floodgates came. So people have been able to actually notice. I've had someone comment on my video like, you don't seem as happy in your videos anymore, and that's kind of sad for me. It's not that I'm not genuinely happy. I think that I'm just a little burnt out because I'm working on so many things, and right now it feels kind of like I'm trying to just maintain and keep up and survive and keep my head above the water. And so I want to be more intentional about rest. As of right now, I do take every Sunday off because I think that's so important, but there's just a lot of moving parts that I'm really excited for. So even though I'm like super excited, I'm super happy, I'm still doing okay, there's just like this little thing that is just kind of bogging me down a little bit. Plus I've been sick this whole last week, and so that's probably it as well. So I'm still blessed. I still know that, God is good. But God never promised that everything would be perfect and shiny and rainbows and unicorn poop or whatever it's called. I don't know. So thank you guys for asking, caring. I am good, but I am in the midst of hiring 2 new people and working on 2 new projects and uploading weekly and Instagram weekly or daily and podcasting every Tuesday and traveling and so many other things. And it's a lot, but I love what I do, which is why I keep doing it. It's more than people tend to notice or realize. But thank you for asking. Still doing well, but just a little tired, hence why I have coffee. Okay, Angela asked me, which Super Goop sunblock do you like the best? So I will also insert a picture. It is the Super Goop Everyday Sunscreen. It's their 50 SPF. I discovered this randomly, just went into Sephora, was looking for a new sunscreen, and oh my gosh, I love it so much. You guys have to try it. It's so hydrating. It's not oily. It doesn't clog my pores, doesn't make me break out. It's really moisturizing so I don't feel super dry afterwards. It's literally the most perfect sunscreen every day. I will probably use this for the rest of my life until miraculously another one comes along, but definitely check it out. Anna asked me, do you have spiritual mentors that you seek guidance from? So yes, I do. I do believe that, someone that's pouring into people all the time, constantly trying to do posts and podcasts and videos of just helping people. I'm looking forward to doing ministry in person down the road. I just feel like I'm someone that's constantly trying to use my story and my voice and my platform for good, to help people. You're constantly pouring into people, and I love it. I'm doing speaking engagements and stuff like that, and I meet you guys in person, and it's so amazing. But sometimes you can get lost in the sauce, and you need someone to kind of like check up on you and say, hey, how are you doing? Or double check like what you're doing is good. Also ask you, are you tired? Are you okay? Like just this pastor called me today, like, are you okay? And so I have a mentor, Jenny Allen, in my life, my old mentor from California when I lived up there. Her name's Casey. You guys have probably heard about Casey if you're an avid listener of the podcast. I also have a life coach that I'm meeting with tomorrow. I do pay for this life coach. The other mentors are just, sweet mentors that are free, obviously. But then I have this mentor that I'm talking to tomorrow. He's a life coach that I meet with about every other month. He's amazing. His name's Alan Briggs. And so I think that's just really important to have people pouring into you, checking up on you, holding you accountable, making sure that what you're doing is good, that you're not just like constantly producing or doing things out of flesh or your own desires, but really checking your heart posture, and just checking how you're doing. How are you dating? How is your heart? What's working? What's not? Asking you kind of the hard questions. And in order for me to pour into other people, I need other people pouring into me. And so it's kind of this ripple effect. And I want to do that for girls in real life, at some point too. I want to run like a little Bible study and do the same thing, because those mentors have changed my life. And so I don't know what I would do and be without them. And so I want to be that for someone else. So right now, I kind of do that on my Buy Tribe, which you guys can check out. Judith asked me what attributes, y'all, I'm so sorry. I've been sick this last week. Okay, Judith asked me, what are the attributes, green flags you look for in a man? I bet you get this question a lot. Absolutely. I do have a whole entire podcast on qualities to look for in a partner, but to kind of sum it up, here are some things top of mind that, maybe I'll miss some after I look back and I'm like, dang, I should add that. But top of mind, a man that is first submitted to Christ, that is in the church, that believes in the body of Christ, that has good friends around him, that's believes in accountability as well as respecting authority, that is a hard worker, that's humble, that's willing to say I'm sorry when he knows he's wrong, that's empathetic, that's a servant heart for anyone, that he's kind to people, kind to waiters, spends his money well, that is a man of purity, that he's not, looking at porn or masturbating, which I know some of y'all are gonna come for me for that, but that is what my thoughts are. I just believe a man that is self-controlled and someone that is just, that loves me and cares for me, believes in the idea of just marriage and what God has called us for marriage, and someone that has people, calling him out as well. Someone that's willing to say, I was wrong, I need help, that doesn't think he's the best thing ever, he's super haughty. And green flags don't attribute to physicality, in my opinion. Sure, there's certain types of guys I'm interested in, but I don't really care about that. I more care about your heart. If they're a hard worker and just if they respect me, respect my boundaries, all sorts of things like that. And also a man that can support my job. So as an influencer and YouTuber, I find in the dating world, and a lot of my other friends find this, that a lot of people really struggle to support YouTubers, or not to be intimidated, or not feel inferior, or to have their man pride, hurt by this woman maybe potentially making more money than them or being more successful or whatever. So just a man that's secure and confident in who he is and can support me. So those are some things that I look for, and I hope that was helpful to y'all as well. Tony Garcia asked me, why aren't people dating more often? It should be a trendy activity. Hookup culture is calm. Okay, so I'm trying to understand this question. I think what he's saying is that there's more hookup culture than there is dating, and I would actually agree with that. I think in society, everyone deep down inside really deeply does want a relationship, but no one really wants to admit that. Everyone wants to preach and claim like, I'm perfect without a man, I don't need no man, I'm so great, and I'm so single, and I don't need anyone. When deep down inside, we all crave belonging and being known and being loved and giving that to someone as well. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting a relationship. There's nothing wrong with desiring marriage. I desire marriage. I desire a relationship. And so out of avoidance of pain or out of avoidance of fully being known or true intimacy, people opt to hookup culture instead because, it's a one and done, you get in, get out, there's no real feelings involved, and it's more easy and comfortable that way, when in the long run, it's more damaging. It's training you for a lack of intimacy, it's training you for variety, it's training you to hide and to not really have intentionality or standards, which, please don't take me wrong when I say that just because you do that doesn't mean you have standards. I'm just saying, I have a higher standard for a man. You're not just gonna take me out to dinner and then bring me to bed. Hey baby, take me out to dinner. Y'all know what I'm talking about, Joe Byron. Anyway, so you're not gonna do that. And so I have pretty high standards where you're not just gonna get to do that. That's something I'm waiting for marriage. I think people are scared of being known. They're scared of the past repeating itself. They're scared of wounds and baggage and band-aids being ripped off, and they're just scared to be hurt because our society is dating more and more poorly because culture is giving us all this dating advice. You go on TikTok and type in dating advice and you will get, oh my gosh, plethora of dating advice from people say, do this way, don't do that way, text a man at this date, don't text a man back. It's confusing. And so it's like, how do we know what's right or wrong anymore? And so some books I would recommend: Sacred Search by Gary Thomas, Outdated by Jonathan Pokluda. Scary Close is another great book by, I gotta think of the name. Hold up. If you have intimacy issues and you're scared of people knowing you, you need to check this book out. It is called Scary Close by Donald Miller, changed my life. All about authenticity, being known, intimacy. But I just think, people choose it because it seems easier and there's less damage, but I really do believe there's more damage in the long run. It is instant gratification, but it is in the long term potentially hurting you more than you like to realize. You're numbing yourself, you're numbing pain, you're numbing all sorts of things. And so choosing the harder route of dating, putting yourself out there, potentially getting rejected, trying things out, it not working, it's scarier, it's harder, but in the long run, it's worth it. And if you're willing to put in the work, if you're healthy at dating, you've done counseling, you've done the work, you know what you want, you know what you're looking for, it can go well for you. And so I want to just give you guys some hope on that. So check out some podcasts about it, definitely by Jonathan Pokluda. And don't lose hope and don't opt for the easy way out, because the easy way out tends to, in the long run, be more painful and more damaging. So that's just my thoughts on that. I hope nothing was taken wrong, but those are just some of my thoughts. Okay, favorite books / podcasts right now. So just on my Instagram the other day, I listed some of my most favorite podcasts. So I'm gonna read that list off really fast and you guys can check these out. So let me pull that up really fast. Okay, so Becoming Something podcast, Jonathan Pokluda. Right Side Up podcast. So if you're a leader and you're in big positions and you're overwhelmed, check this podcast out. Experiencing God Day by Day. It's a daily Devo podcast. I love it. Call Her Holy. I know these girls, they're awesome. I love what they talk about. Life with Mariana. She's obviously another YouTuber influencer, but I love her advice and the things she shared. If you're trying to get into the influencer space, YouTube space, want to do marketing, she's a great person to listen to. The Porch, The True Feminine. So if you're a girl watching this, the best dating advice. This dating advice changed my life. I'm not kidding. Check out The True Feminine. Craig Rochelle, an amazing leader, great tips, great perspectives, great advice. Check him out. Colin and Samir, I love listening to them about podcasting and YouTubers and influencers and what went well and what didn't go well and all sorts of things like that. Jenny Allen made for this podcast also, so much wisdom. Check those all out. As far as books, I'm not reading too many books right now. The only one I can think of right now that I'm reading is called, okay, so this book right here, it's called Radical: Taking Back Your Faith from the American Dream. It's kind of a controversial book, but I like it because it talks about how we've kind of twisted the churches to fit our needs and to be these shiny, glamorous, what church makes me feel good and all these things, and what has the most trendy outfits and flashy lights, and what sermon is just gonna make me feel good. And it talks about how we're supposed to be actually in the world, living this out, preaching the gospel, going to the hard places, not just living in our comfortable American dream at these trendy churches and not really being live sent. And so that was probably a bad way to sum it up, but I think it's an amazing book. Check it out. It's very convicting, and I definitely have a lot of things where I'm like, okay, I need to fix that based off reading this book. Okay, another great question. So what are your thoughts on being rebaptized after being baptized as a child? All for it. I stand, I support. So in my opinion, which a lot of y'all are gonna come for me, but I said it's my opinion, being baptized as a baby is very different than being baptized as an adult. in the gospel, it's something we have to choose. As a child, you cannot choose that. You cannot have your parents force you. You need to be a Christian and believe this, whatever. So as an adult, I chose to be rebaptized. I was baptized when I was 7. That was the time when I was like, okay, I think I understand this gospel. I want to do this, but I didn't really understand it. And if you guys are longtime viewers, you saw that I got baptized in the Jordan River in Israel, which was so amazing. It's the spot that Jesus got baptized. I chose that because at that time, this was 3 years ago now, I said, you know what? I am all in with Jesus. I will commit. I'm ready to die to self. I'm willing to publicly declare I am walking with Jesus, and you guys are able to hold me accountable. And I believe in this gospel for myself. When I was a baby, you know, you don't really believe that. You don't know what you're doing. You ain't know nothing. All you're probably thinking about is booby milk. That's all you probably know. So you don't know what a baptism means. So the only B that you know is boob. And as an adult, you understand what the other B means, baptism. We're getting on a tangent, Lord help me. I'm all for it. I think that's amazing. I think most people should actually, because there does need to come a day where you decide it for yourself. Do I believe this? Is it true? Does my life show that I believe this? Why do I believe this? And then making that public declaration and saying, dying to your old self, because when you get baptized, you're saying goodbye to your old self. You come up as the water as a new creation. That's what the Bible talks about. The old is gone, the new has come, and I believe it's amazing. So if you want to do it, freaking do it. I will show up to your baptism and bring, you know, like a little, what are those things that spin around and makes noises or whatever? I'll bring that thingy and I will support you. Claudia asked me, do you ever plan on having pets? And I would honestly, down the road, I would love to have 2 little kitties and a little doggy. As of right now, no. Maddie in my life is too crazy. It's too busy. Honestly, the house gets so dirty enough as it is, and I just don't. I think I'm already so stressed out. To add on animals on top of that, which are basically children, I couldn't do it. So I wouldn't do it until I knew I could give them full attention and love them and give them the best home. I wouldn't want to do that. So if I'm going to get an animal, I want to make sure I'm in a good spot. So eventually, yes, but as of right now, no. Have you ever done a solo trip? I've actually done 2 solo trips. So when I went through a breakup, which some of y'all freaking saw, I lived out in LA. I was not doing so great. So what did I do? I packed my car. I drove up 2 hours to Santa Barbara. I got this cute little bungalow. I went surfing by myself. I went on the beach. I got lunch. I took myself out to dinner, okay? And it was so great. And I journaled, I read, I prayed, I cried. Also, which was really ironic about this trip is that I went away and then I came, or actually I didn't come back. I woke up to people blowing at my phone being like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I was like, what are y'all saying? Like, why would I not be okay? Turns out LA was all on fire, and especially my area. I lived in Santa Monica, and my house was here, the highway was here, and the fire was here. So people were like, are you good? And literally, partially, I was like, my house is gonna be burned down when I get back. I just know it, it's gonna be gone. All my possessions. I panicked, but everything was okay. LA is safe. It was a scary time because we kept having fires. So that was one time, was really good, I recommend. I also did 2.5 days by myself in Italy this last August. It was very scary, especially when they do not speak English there, hardly. And I don't know very much Italian, but I found my way around. I did my thing. Definitely was scary, but I still recommend. It was a good challenge that I was like, I'm gonna do this, and I'm proud of myself. I've also done, traveled from Paris to Belgium by myself, which also was scary, but again, I survived and I did it. So if I can do it, y'all can do it. Okay, Maddie's about to come in and she's gonna help me answer this question about how we handle disagreements. There she is. Step into my office. They wanted to ask us how do we handle disagreements.
Oh, very differently.
We don't have very many disagreements.
Very differently though. We've never really had like a big fight. We've just had like a couple moments that have been a little, I'd like to say more of like a tiff.
Yeah, but we never like genuinely fight. I feel like we present our issue. We're like, that hurt my feelings, or you made me feel that way. and then we say sorry, and then we hug, and then we don't really get into fights.
If we do, it's usually something about we're late for something and we're stressed, or it's about the house. So it's one of those two situations.
Yeah.
We don't really ever fight, but we both handle it very differently. I feel like you're more of a feeler with it. I don't really feel, it makes you
I feel nothing, I'm dead
makes
inside.
you sound so cold.
Nothing inside.
It's not that I don't feel, I love her so much. I feel like with conflict, I'm like, okay, like address it, move on. And there's just not a lot of emotion involved in it. It's more like, I don't know.
She's an 8, I'm a 2, so massive difference there.
Yeah.
2s are very like, and then you're like, we need to talk about this.
Yeah. But I would say also like when we're both in healthy places, like that just overflows into our relationship. And so even like a couple weeks ago, we could tell we were both like just struggling with different things, and it had an effect on our relationship, not in a bad way. Like we weren't fighting or anything like that. But we were just a little bit more distant and just a little bit more kind of to ourselves. Just I was going through a lot personally and like wasn't really talking to ananybody about anything. And you were going through a lot.
I feel like we kind of like let some time pass so we can both process it. And then when we're ready, we'll talk about it. So you're not like blowing up and like, why'd you do this? Blah, blah, blah. Like we just kind of like let it simmer, and then you're like, hey, this is how I was feeling.
And like we both know each other so well that I'm like, I know how you operate, I know how you think, I know what would kind of bother you or how you would respond. And like, so I try to be intentional about those things, like, oh, that would probably bother her if I did this. So I try not to do that. And then like, you know, I just try to think of it that way. And I just know how, I don't know, I feel like I know our flow now. And just in the mornings, we kind of know like that's our time.
Yeah, like you stay in your room, I stay in mine.
And like we try and coordinate filming and that kind of stuff.
It's kind of hard to do still, but I think we got a good system down. Good job.
All
right, that was the
question.
question.
Did I win the interview?
You did.
Yes.
A+.
A+.
Let's get her a sticker. Okay, Thea asked me, can you please give me your thoughts about Euphoria? This is probably going to be controversial and some of y'all aren't gonna like it, but I'm just gonna say it. I have not watched the show and I don't recommend the show, so maybe some of you are like, the frick then, like how do you freaking know what's in the show if you haven't even watched it, you fool? So I looked up some stuff, I Googled, I've been hearing all about it on TikTok, so I have the gist of it. From what I've heard, I just don't think it's a good show, so especially as a Christian, the Bible wants us to meditate on whatever is noble, pure, true, holy, uplifting, you know, that type of thing. And I just think there's so much stuff that's being pushed down our throats nowadays, especially on Netflix, and I just don't think it's a good show for us to consume. I think it will subconsciously impact your decisions and the way you view yourself and view life and view things and your dreams, and it's just not good for us to be feeding our souls that. So I don't recommend it. I would say be very careful what you consume, because what you input is what you output, so be careful what you're inputting, because it will show in some shape or form. You'll be getting some fruit in your life that's probably rotten or bad, because all you're doing is consuming some bad, rotten things. And so just be careful of what you're consuming. Be mindful of what you're mindful of. And so I've just heard the show, you know, have some really controversial things that aren't healthy. And I understand that this show is bringing to light some situations that are real, that are hard, but I just don't know if it's the best thing to be filling our minds with. And so I would just heed warning and just not consume it. I think there's plenty of other things that are great to watch, so I wouldn't recommend. The next question is, what are your thoughts on progressive Christianity? So same thing with this, avoid and be careful and be cautious. I think this is basically preaching a false gospel. And maybe you're like, what is progressive Christianity? A lot of it is preaching a lot of new age stuff now. It's a lot about, you know, yourself and universe and all about me and just my needs and my desires and loving myself. And maybe you're kind of like, I don't understand, Jeanine, and I'll make a podcast on this or bring on a guest that we can talk about this, but I think it's dangerous. I don't think it's really giving God glory, and a lot of it's the universe gave me the sign, the universe. I'm like, well, God created the universe. You know, he created you. He wants to know you. It's not just there's this random universe out there. It's truly the God of the universe that knows you and wants to help you and bless you and provide you life. And so a lot of it is just really taking what God said and just twisting it to fit a need or fit whatever we want it to fit, just so that we feel good or better. It's not really talking about sin or error. It's just talking about just shame. And it's like, well, you can be set free from shame and guilt, by the gospel. And so it's just kind of basically twisting the gospel. And so I can probably try to do a little bit more concrete ideas and things for you guys in a podcast. So make sure you check out my podcast, Happy and Healthy, where I can talk more in depth about that, because right now my thoughts are a little jumbled. But overall, be careful. Don't let people deceive you with this false, selfish gospel. What's one thing you're most grateful for? Oh my gosh, so many things. It's hard to narrow it down just to one. To basically sum it up, I would definitely say for sure my faith. Secondly, my friends and my family in my life. That is why I am the way I am, and I need people in my life, and so do you. Thirdly, I'd say this house, you know, even though there's some issues with it, I'm thankful I have a roof over my head. Fourthly, I would say my job, and y'all, I feel so fulfilled in my job by getting to connect with you guys, by getting to help you guys, by getting to reach out to you guys and provide content that hopefully blesses you and benefits you. And I love this job so much, even though it can be tiring and stressful and overwhelming. I freaking love it, and that's why I do what I do. So those are some things I'm thankful for. Honest opinions on known spiritual leaders involving scandals. So again, a whole nother podcast, which I'm probably planning on doing with another friend that is an actual pastor. I think if you do not have accountability, you become haughty and you don't believe that, you know, you need to submit to leadership because you think you are the leadership. If you're not willing to be open and honest about your struggles, you're gonna fall. If you have this savior complex or this pride about you or a lack of humility, you're gonna fall. The Bible is very clear about the Lord humbles the proud and uplifts the humble. And so if you're proud and haughty, the Lord will humble you. And people that are not setting up good, safe guardrails, whether that's infidelity or molestation or whatever it is that I keep seeing happening, there's not good guardrails. And so being careful of where you're stepping, what you're looking at, what you're doing, what little things that you're allowing, because those little things can impact something big. It's like Atomic Habits, the book. Whether it's a little decision, a little thought, a little bit of this, like a little bit of grain of salt, a little pinch, can equate to something massive. And so I think a lot of people don't realize this. They're like, well, I was just texting this one girl, it's not that big of a deal. Or I was just hanging out alone with this young kid, it's not that big of a deal. But it leads to something. It leads to infidelity. It leads to pedophilia or all these different things. And so I think it's sad. It's really, really sad. But that some does not equate the whole. Just because there's some rotten people, because people are sinners, does not mean that the whole bunch of apples are bad. It might be one apple that's struggling and that needs to be called out and needs to be humbled and pruned and step away for a little bit, step out of leadership, but it does not reflect the whole body of Christ and the whole Christian faith. And so be careful to not lump those all together in one and to generalize and stereotype. How do you feel about non-Christians? I feel nothing. Okay, that's a lie. I feel like there's so many amazing, lovely, kind, wonderful non-Christians. So I don't really have much of like an opinion about like they're ugly, nasty people. Like that is not what I think at all. I do wish that these non-Christians had the faith and saw the faith that I had, because I really do believe it changes your life. It sets you free, changes your whole thinking. It changes everything, the way you date and you see yourself and how you love on people and so many other things. But there's so many amazing, generous, kind, loving, good non-believers. But I do worry for their souls eternally, where they're gonna go. And so I think about that a lot. I'm not trying to be a savior complex. I just wanna be the light and help people if I can. And specifically, if they come to me for advice or needing help, I wanna be the best help I can be to be a reflection of Christ. I never wanna shove anything down someone's throat, but I do wanna ask people what are their thoughts and what are their beliefs. And I wanna kind of dive deep into that. And so I do want them to have this hope that I have, but I'm never gonna force it. Everyone has to make this decision on their own. And so I'm not, ever condemning them or looking down or being like, ugh, like they need help. Like, no, that's definitely not my mindset. Why did you choose Dallas over Austin? So I'm from Dallas. Austin, to be honest, is a very chaotic city. It's kind of like another little mini LA. The layout of the city kind of sucks. The traffic stinks. It's overpriced. It's constant construction. Traffic just everywhere just takes forever. Housing market is like nearly impossible there right now. And I don't have as many friends there. So it was just pretty much the easy choice. It was Dallas over Austin. However, I'm not shitting on Austin ever. I once lived there, of course. I lived there for college. Had some pretty bad memories there, which is probably also why I didn't choose it, because I was like, why would I go back to the place that traumatized me? But I think it's a great city. My sisters live there. A lot of family lives there. A lot of good friends still live there. But I do like the ease of Dallas, but Austin has way more nature and way more things to do. So I'm not writing off Austin, but that is well to why. And I feel like the Lord told me to come back to Dallas. So when the Lord says it, you do it. He's asked me, can I buy some feet pics, please? Actually, no, you can use that money for therapy instead. Okay, she asked me, so what should I do if the guy I don't want to lose is the same guy that's hurting me? It sounds like you need to lose him, because a guy that truly loves you and respects you and honors you, and if you're in a healthy relationship, he's not gonna keep hurting you. He's not gonna continually hurt you. And so going to give you some tough love. It sounds like you might be in a toxic or potentially abusive, hurtful relationship. So I know it's scary to leave a toxic relationship. I've been there, I've done that. It is very scary, but once you're out, you'll feel so much more free and you won't regret it. And you might look back and you might miss him and you might feel this pain and you might be like, but that was the love of my life. That was the one I thought I was gonna marry. You think all these things, but when you get out of it and you really date the person that you were meant to date or that genuinely treats you the way you deserve to be treated, you'll look back at this punk of a guy and you're like, what the frick was I even doing wasting my time? But when you're in it, I get it. It's really hard to see that. It's really hard to get out of it. It's really hard to think that there's anything better because this person tends to brainwash you or gaslight you or manipulate you or isolate you and make you think that you need him and blah, 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 and that all your identity and worth comes from him, which is not true. It comes from the creator of the universe, God, first and foremost. And so I'm just going to recommend you get some people around you to help you get out of that. If this person truly loves you and is for you and it's healthy, he's not going to keep continually hurting you. So that'll be my advice. I know that's hard, but I've been there. I've done that. I know what it's like. Take it from me. It gets better. It's hard at first, but it gets better. So keep going. What do you think is a perception people may have about you that is not true? So I actually don't know. I mean, I think that probably people think that I think I'm better than everyone or that I'm holier than thou or because I'm this Christian influencer that my life is so perfect or that everything that I do is so perfect and I'm so put together and I'm this amazing and I tell people what to do and I think I date better. Like I think maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe people think that I'm holier than thou with the advice I'm giving, and genuinely, like, I really don't think that. The only reason why majority of the advice I can give is because I've lived it out. I've been there, done that. Just with the toxic relationship, I've experienced that. I've experienced so many things that people have been through. So it's not like I'm ever trying to condemn anyone. It's more from the perspective of like, I know what that's like and it's not worth it and it doesn't bring you life and it's not, there's so much more than that. And I've been there, I've done that. I've walked through with so much stuff in my life. And so maybe people think that I'm just like this Christianese woman and that like it's just the Christian stuff isn't for them, but it's really hard for me not to talk about it when it's literally changed my entire life and it impacts everything that I do. And so I'm sorry if that's your perception of me. I want you to know that I never want to think that I'm better than you, but I do believe that I have this amazing answer and hope for my life that I've experienced to be true, which is why I keep wanting to pass this on. So I'm sorry if that's your perception of me. I hope that I debunked that, and I just want you guys to know that I never want to like look down on anyone or make you think that I'm better than you. So I'm sorry if you think that, but I don't think it's true. How to grow in experiencing God's presence. This is something I think we need to be intentional with because there's so much noise constantly going on. There's distractions and social media and people and events and travel and all these things. I think it's just important to prioritize it, carve it out, and sit with the Lord. It's not easy. It's a part of the discipline. I think God can speak to us in so many different ways. It's just a matter of whether we're listening. I feel like the Lord sometimes is like, hey, I've been speaking to you, but you're not slowing down to actually listen. And so God is always speaking to us, but number one, he speaks to us through the word of God. And so I think that's amazing. But sometimes I think just putting on a good worship song and just sitting there and singing the words to him, glorifying him, praising him, singing the words over yourself if you need a good reminder, and allowing him just to romanticize with you, and just being intentional. And it is ebbs and flows. I think a lot of times people want to have this constant I experience God. And sometimes we don't hear God, but it's a matter of, will you still choose to follow God even if you don't hear him? Will you still be faithful? Will you still be loyal? Will you still seek him? But God does promise, if you draw near to me, I'll draw near to you. I think that's James 4:8. If we believe that God's promises are true, then that is true. He will draw near to us the more we draw near to him. He says in Matthew 7:7, knock and the door will be open, ask and it'll be given to you. And so ask the Lord, say, God, I want to know you more. I want to experience you more. And I believe he will reveal himself to you. It may not always look perfect. It may not look like your favorite influencer. It may not look like your favorite pastor. God speaks to you intimately the way that he wants to speak to you. So don't compare. It's a journey. It's the climb, like Hannah Montana would say, but don't give up. And just know that his presence is the most amazing thing. And once you experience it, you get addicted and you're just like, I need more, I need more. And so fall in love with who he is and his presence, and everything else about obeying him becomes easier when you fall in love with who he is and his presence. So I hope that helps. It's a journey, but don't quit and stay faithful. Elizabeth asked me, this is the last question, do you have any upcoming trips? The only trip that I have coming up so far is, well, I have some weddings. I have one in Cabo at the end of April. I have one in Colorado coming up. But there's actually nothing that I've specifically planned, which part of this year was me being very intentional about saying no, traveling less, working from home, finding a good routine, and not just jumping on every opportunity that I get and really evaluating if it's good or not. Those are the trips coming up. I'm really excited for them, but other than that, I don't have too many plans. All right, you guys, so that was my Q&A. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found this hopefully helpful. I dive deeper into a lot of these topics on my podcast. Again, I post that every Tuesday. It's called Happy and Healthy. Just trying to help you guys thrive in all aspects of life, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. I post every Tuesday, like I just said. Check that out. My Instagram, I do a lot of Q&As on there and interact with you guys. I do a lot of thought-provoking, hopefully, posts on there as well. So check out my Instagram. That's Jeanine Amapola. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for following, supporting me, coming along. If you made it to the end of the video, let me know, comment down below if you made it to the end of the video. I would appreciate that. I hope this was helpful. I always just want to sit down and just feel like a big sister to you guys, and like I'm on your side, I'm on your team, I'm here to help you. I don't have this all figured out. I go through my own struggles, all sorts of things like that, but I've been on quite the journey, and I think I've kind of gotten this mostly down. So I hope this all helps you guys out. I will see you guys next Monday. I'm trying to now post every single Monday, whether that's a vlog or a video like this. So check that out. I'll see you guys next I'll see you guys next Monday. Love y'all, and peace out, Girl Scout. Bye, guys.